Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. Today, lots to talk about. Free agency coming up on Wednesday, which is tomorrow. So it's a pretty big time if you're the Jets, because you've got a lot of holes up front and possibly in goal. Eric Comrie is a UFA, so you're going to have to look at possibly backup goaltender and a ton of forward depth up front. Now, I don't think the Jets are going to swing for the fences and go for a guy like Johnny Gaudreau or even Evgeny Malkin or anybody like that. However, I have compiled 3 free agents that I do think the Jets have somewhat of a chance and would be definitely interested in. So the Jets aren't really a team historically that go and swing for the fences anyway. Cheveldayoff usually tries to find the values in free agency. So guys like Matthew Perreault, that was a big one. Evgeny Svechnikov, which was another one last season, who I thought played way above expectations. However, he wasn't qualified, so he will become a free agent come Wednesday. However, the door apparently isn't closed on him returning. I hope he does come back because he would be pretty good forward depth. And very good defensively, so I'm kind of sad to see that he wasn't qualified. However, I do think that there's a pretty good chance he comes back. But without further ado, let's get into the first free agent target that I think the Jets should be looking at. Now, these are in no particular order, but the first one I'm going to be talking about is Dylan Strome, former center of the Chicago Blackhawks. Super weird to see him on this list because he was an RFA. However, Chicago didn't tender his qualifying offer, so he's now an unrestricted free agent come Wednesday, unless something happens right after I record this or before 12 tomorrow. However, he will be a free agent, it seems, and a 25-year-old center who's 6'3", 200 pounds wouldn't be the worst pickup for the Jets. With all the stuff going around about Dubois maybe being moved, maybe not this season, but maybe next, and then him probably not being a Jet when he hits UFA, Dylan Strome might not be a bad guy to bring in right now. Add him to the top 6, or even just quality depth. I don't think he'd be too expensive. I think maybe around the 3-year, $4.5 million per year kind of thing. And he only played 69 games last season, 22 goals, 26 assists for 48 points. That's really good. And on a bad Chicago team, I mean, that's pretty impressive. Almost 50 points in just under 70 games. That's pretty quality. If the Jets want to bring him in, add him to the bottom 6 there. I'm sure we're going to have some kind of checking line with Rick Bowness, but I'm hoping maybe that'll be the 4th line, and maybe we can kind of run 3 structured lines, and we'll see what happens, because you know Adam Lowry's going to be on that checking line, probably with, I'd imagine, Mason Appleton, and insert whoever else you want to add, probably somebody we sign in free agency or get in a trade. But I do think that Dylan Strome would be the perfect middle 6 guy. I think he'd be just awesome. I mean, there's really nothing bad to say about him. I don't really know what to say about him because I think he's got a pretty good ceiling still. He's 25. I don't think he's going to develop much more, but this is a former 3rd overall pick, drafted by Arizona, traded to Chicago, and this was by far his best year yet when he was given the chance. So who knows? You put him in the top 6, maybe on the 3rd line, maybe he takes off, maybe he doesn't. I don't know if he'll replicate the numbers that he has here, but I do think that he'd be extremely useful, and if the Jets are truly going for it this year, I think that he'd be an important add, and if not him, I think they need to bring in someone like him. But with that said, I do think that Strome is going to get paid between $4.5 to $5 million, between 2 to 4 years on the contract, and with a Jets team that likely won't have Blake Wheeler, Paul Stastny, or Evgeny Svechnikov come next season, I do think this would be a really big pickup and fill one of those big holes that's going to be left by those guys. So moving on to the second guy that I want to talk about today, it's Ilya Mikheyev, formerly from the Toronto Maple Leafs. 27 years old, he's 6'2", 192 pounds, and plays the right wing. With the Jets now getting rid of Svechnikov, they do need right wing depth in a bad way because I don't think Blake Wheeler's coming back. So Nick Wheeler's is really our only right winger at the moment. Anybody worth anything really? I do think that Mikheyev will be a huge pickup if the Jets are willing to pay him. I don't know if they are, but 21 goals, 11 assists for 32 points in just 53 games is pretty impressive. And yes, he was playing on a very stacked Toronto team. However, he shined a lot. He's an extremely good penalty killer. He can play the power play. He's super fast. He's just super effective. Swiss Army knife. He can play in any situation. Big minutes, small minutes. Just an all-around good team guy. And I think he'd be a fantastic pickup and would fill a big hole that maybe is left from Andrew Kopp. So with Mikheyev coming in, I do think he could fill a lot of what Andrew Kopp did, like kill penalties. You could put him on the power play if you want. He's just a really fast guy, smart guy that, I don't know, really doesn't do anything bad. I do think that he'd be a fantastic pickup, and he would alleviate a lot of the minutes that maybe Kyle Connor is going to scale back a bit. Maybe Mark Scheifele gets his minutes taken down a bit, because I can't see Rick Bowness playing those guys 25 minutes a night. I think the minutes will be more spread around. You've seen that in Dallas with him, how everybody really gets a fair shake. I think the days of the fourth line in Winnipeg being played for maybe 3 to 4 minutes a night are over. I think you see that maybe up to as much as 7 or 8 to 10 a night. So we'll see what happens there, but I would really be interested if they brought in Mikheyev, and really happy. The only thing that worries me is I do think there are a ton of teams interested in Mikheyev, and with that said, maybe this turns into a bidding war. I wouldn't feel comfortable really paying more than $5 million for him. For a middle six guy, it's kind of risky. He's already 27. He's not super young anymore, and it would all depend on the term, of course. But my guess for Mikheyev is he gets a 5-year, $5 million deal, $5 million per season, that is. And I mean, we'll see. I do think that he probably doesn't go with the Jets, but I do think that he'd be an interesting option. Now, last but definitely not least, Sony Milano, formerly from the Anaheim Ducks, who was not qualified by Anaheim and will be a free agent on the 13th. So 66 games played, 14 goals, 20 assists for 34 points on the season. He plays left wing, he's 6 foot, 194, and 26 years old. Now, Sony Milano was on the Ducks, and he was on a line with Trevor Zegras, and he played great. He really shined this past season, and he was a really good addition to that Zegras line. He really helped out defensively, as well as chipping in offensively, as you see there with 34 points. But I was really impressed with them this season. The Ducks weren't very good, obviously, this year, but they were way better than people thought they were, and you can attribute a lot of that to Sony Milano. I was so shocked that he didn't get qualified by Anaheim, as he was far and away one of their better players last season. And yes, I know they are in a rebuild. He is 26. He's not super young anymore. However, I am a little bit shocked with the chemistry that him and Zegras had last season, that they didn't at least qualify him and then try to move him later and try to get an asset for him, because I'm sure they could have. Even if it was something small, I'm sure they could have gotten it. But with him being a UFA more than likely on July 13th is crazy. I think the Jets definitely, especially now with Evgeny Svechnikov gone, I think that Sony Milano would be an upgraded Svechnikov. Yes, he's going to be a little bit more expensive, but I do think he's definitely worth it. So he'd be a great add. Again, following the trend with middle six forwards like Mikheyev and Strome, I do think Milano would fit perfect in that role. Maybe he'd fit on the line with Dubois and Connor this season. Maybe he goes up on a line with Ehlers and Scheifele. Maybe he adds some defense to that line. You saw the success that the Ehlers, Scheifele, Stastny line had when Stastny was covering for a lot of Scheifele and Ehlers' lack of defense. So I do think he'd be pretty important there. I think he would fit like a glove there. And now with Paul Stastny not there, obviously, maybe that's a guy that they look at and say, hey, that would be the perfect filler. So now, with that said, I don't know really what Milano's market is going to look like. I'm sure there will be quite a few teams interested. However, I think his contract is going to be between 2 to 4 years and somewhere between $3.5 to $4.5 million per season. I don't think it'll be anything crazy, as he's not a big point guy. I don't think he ever will be. I see him between a 30 and 40 point guy, but a guy that can really do it all, kind of a Swiss Army knife guy, really good defensively, and if he plays on a line that's really offensively skilled, he might throw in even more points. Who knows? Playing with guys like Nikolai Ehlers and Mark Scheifele, I think would really be an awesome fit, and I think a line with those three would be super intriguing and really fun to watch. Yeah, so those are the players that I wanted to talk about today. Is there any that I missed that you think the Jets should take a look at? If so, leave them in the comments below. But that's where I'm going to leave it today, guys. If you want to go check out the JetsHub Instagram, link will be in the description. Over there, I'll have up-to-date news and graphics with all of our new players that we sign, and including their contract info. So if you want to stay up to date with all Jets news, go check that out as well. Might have a couple videos out, maybe a little bit deeper in free agency, just talking about who the Jets have signed, who they've maybe traded for, and how the team looks at that time. So until then, guys, have a good one, and I will see you in the next one. Take it easy.